are in Gangtok, the capital of Sikkim State, nestled in between Nepal to our left, Bhutan to our right, and Tibet to our front. At over 5,500 feet, it feels as though we are on top of the world. But we know that over the course of the next 3 weeks, we will climb higher still. Supported by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the Australian Water Partnership joined partners at the Australian National University on a scoping trip across India, Bhutan and Nepal in the Himalayan region. This project was undertaken to better understand the opportunities of alternatives to the ever-expanding hydropower sector. An alternative that presents a more environmentally friendly and socially sustainable energy production option is through pumped storage hydropower. Pumped storage hydropower uses a configuration of 2 water reservoirs at different elevations to generate power as water moves down from an elevated reservoir passing through a turbine to a lower reservoir. When there is excess electricity available in the grid, water can be pumped to the upper reservoir using wind or solar power. The system then effectively acts similarly to a giant battery because it can store power and then release it when needed, removing the reliance on the river flow. ANU was selected as an implementing partner for this project due to their expertise and previous work in pumped storage hydropower. The team undertook initial desk-based research which was complemented by in-country site visits, interviews and workshops. Utilising Australian expertise in pumped storage hydropower site mapping, market settings for electrical energy storage and environmental and social sustainability in the hydropower sector, the project aimed to maximise Australia's contribution to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. The mission was a wonderful mix of academics and researchers, engineers, NGOs, government officials and former ministers from the water and energy sectors. During the trip, our main purpose was to understand what experiences have been like in the past from energy providers, decision makers and, importantly, the villages dotted throughout this part of the Eastern Himalayas.
Even before Sikkim became a part of India, smaller hydropower plants were the main source of energy for the state. Sikkim is a mountainous area. Energy transmission is a challenge, but even then, even the most rural villages have got access to electrical power. Sikkim also exports power to neighboring states of India and therefore earns a revenue. I think with climate change, this is going to become a challenge. Now we are having long spells of dry season. And when we have hydropower plants which are run of the river, the low level of water in these plants surely will affect electricity generation. So therefore, I think energy storage system like pump storage hydropower would be a very good opportunity for Sikkim.
The environmental context in northern India shows good indications of converting existing hydropower arrangements into pumped storage hydropower, enabling energy storage for the region and combating the effects of hydropower on water availability. The team continued their exploration at sites across Nepal and Bhutan, meeting with local academics, government representatives and villagers in their quest to determine suitable energy solutions for the region.
In terms of the opportunities that the pump storage hydro offers, if you look at the electricity portfolio in Bhutan, all our projects are basically run-of-the-river projects. We do have a bondage facility for around 4 hours, but at the moment the operation is entirely as run-of-the-river. In the winter season, the generations go down as much as 80%, and so at that time we have a serious problem in our hand in terms of meeting the domestic demand. One very different aspect of this particular project I find is with regard to addressing gender equality, disability and social inclusion issues. When we develop hydropower projects, whether it's in Bhutan or anywhere else, the environmental and social impact assessment is very, very important.
The Australian Water Partnership recognises that the integration of gender equality, disability and social inclusion, or GEDSI, in development activities leads to more equitable and sustainable outcomes. We spoke with Helen Locker from the Hydropower Sustainability Council and Dalasa Shretha from Interdisciplinary Analysts about the JEDC issues related to pumped storage hydropower and what we can do to address them.
What the communities are telling us they really want to see are benefits for their problems in life, their livelihood challenges.
As policymakers, we need to be more empathetic. We need to put ourselves in their shoes, and we need to remember that the development is for people.
Pump storage hydro entails constructing a reservoir, two reservoirs, lower and upper one. The advantage of upper reservoir, and this was an insight that came to us during our field trip to Bhutan, when Bhutani forest managers were very happy with this idea of pump storage hydro. Why, they said, is because if you build a smaller reservoir on the high mountain, they have a lot of forest like we have in Nepal, and forest fire is a big problem. It's difficult to douse forest fire with hoses from the bottom. But if you already have a pond up in the hill, you can use that water when there is a forest fire. So foresters in Bhutan were very happy with this idea. Similarly, it can also be used for water supply to villages nearby. It can also be used for drip irrigation for high value, high altitude crops. So these are benefits that alone the poor marginalized villagers living in high altitudes cannot provide for themselves.
What we discovered was a strong appetite to pursue pumped storage hydropower in these regions and discover the future benefits for the local communities. Australia will continue to engage with countries in the Himalayan region to explore the opportunities around pumped storage hydropower.